Welcome, Bryan, and congratulations on your win this past Saturday.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me in. I can't wait to talk about it.
Oh, man, you ticked so many boxes throughout the season. You grew I could tell, as a person, as a fighter. I love the connection that you have with your family anytime they were able to show us that. And then you rose to the occasion. And it wasn't easy because Urbina, he fought well. We got to give, our hat off to him as well. And so for you, this was a last-minute opponent change. So, again, fighting through adversity and then flipping the script and getting the W, man. You got a finish. You got the trophy. And I really love the shout-outs to your team, your coaches, man. Awesome.
Thanks, man. I mean, yeah, once again, like you said, big shout-out to Gilbert. I really think I fought a better version of Gilbert than when he fought Tresean on the show. I think he really learned from that fight, and he took the fight against me on short notice, but I think he had a sense of urgency and just the way he came out in that fight. He came out, a little bit better defensively. Nothing crazy, but he was keeping his hands up more than when he fought Trey. He was using his wrestling a lot. He didn't take any shots on Trey. He was shooting constantly on me. So, he really just came out to win. I think Tresean, he wanted to win that fight, but I think this one he was really in his mind. He made it up more in his mind that he really wanted to win more than anything else. And so, it created an interesting situation. And, shouting out my coaches, I'm a big loyalty guy. I love to give credit where credit's due. And, I got to give them all the credit because, I did everything in my power, but they also did everything in their power. They did a lot of extra stuff that they didn't have to do to get me to where I am today. So, like I said, I was nothing when I found them and they found me. So it's kind of like a marriage, you know what I'm saying? It's awesome. I love my coaches.
Did you go back and look at their faces when you did give them that shout out? You could tell it meant a lot. A couple fist bumps, but MMA is, it's kind of like pro wrestling where when you give someone some sort of a shout out and talk about the work they put in, and you have a big stage and platform, there's a saying called putting someone over, and you kind of did that to your gym, at least shed a spotlight for that moment. And I think those coaches were thrilled. And so you made their day too, Bryan. That was awesome that you did that. And I don't know, did you get a chance to see it and see how they were happy? They were super elated. They were shaken up, and I think they were proud. They were gleaming. I mean, that must have meant a lot to you if you've seen that replay.
Man, I have watched the replay, and yeah, man. I mean, I can't imagine what's going through their heads at that moment because I know because from cornering people before, it's harder. At least speaking for me, I get more nervous cornering people than I do actually fighting people because you don't have any power in the situation. And so, I'm sure a lot of it was relief and excitement, but, it does feel good, after, spending years and years and years, working hard and training people and not getting the credit that you deserve, that, someone gives you the credit, you know what I'm saying? And so it was a really cool moment for me, my coaches, and just the North Carolina MMA scene overall. You know what I'm saying? It was really cool to see because the reaction my coaches had was very similar. Like if you go on social media and look at people on the North Carolina MMA scene, there's a lot of people who this fight meant a lot to because it means that, North Carolina can be a place where, people don't have to move out to, continue their fighting career. They can continue it here. So it was cool. It was a really cool moment.
Now, if only the Panthers and the Bobcats can match your level of success, maybe Carolina will really, really be on the map. But let's put that to the side.
You know what the worst part about what that is that they're not even the Bobcats anymore. They're the Hornets, but that's how bad they are. That's how bad they are. That is I'm not surprised. I still call them the Bobcats sometimes. I catch myself all the time. I'm like, yo, you want to watch the Bobcats? They're like, you mean the Hornets? I'm like, oh. Oh no. But yeah.
All right.
Carolina sports isn't that great.
Yeah. All right. Now, the last thing I want to ask you, and then I'll turn it over to Ghost for a few questions. When the show stopped filming in March and April, what did your coaches think of the improvements you made while you were there? And then what kind of improvements did you and your coaches make up until here late August when you fought for the finale?
Well, it's the great thing about this sport is that I think like the possibilities are really endless, right? It's like if there's a limit, it's a limit that we're putting on ourselves as fighters, with what we're capable of doing. So like me, I haven't been training as long as other people, and so for me, it's really like the possibilities are truly endless. You know what I mean? And so when I was on TUF, there was a lot of things that I had already known to do, but it was just put together in different ways, and like the approach to it was a little bit different. There wasn't a whole lot of new things that they taught me per se, but it was just the situational things and like the approach to it, which was really cool. And my coaches, they're all about learning too. We're about that martial artist lifestyle where you're constantly, you can't ever settle. You have to always be constantly looking to improve, to be getting better. And my coaches are looking to constantly be getting better as coaches. So they were very curious about what we were doing over there with Volk, just figuring out how Volk does things, how the world champ does things. And, not necessarily changing things, but, making little adjustments, tweaking little things, maybe working on certain techniques more. We didn't reinvent the wheel. We just made little tweaks, and we're just going to keep on making tweaks as long as I'm doing this. So, it's been cool. It's been fun. But we're not done yet. We still got more tweaks and more adjustments to make. So, I'm sure by the next time we talk, I can tell you about all that stuff too.
Well, Bryan, we love the show. The show is over. But I feel like we may get a little bonus episode. And what I mean by that is, who's going to be next? I know a lot of people are going to say, well, there could be some unfinished business with Tresean Gore. Is that kind of the automatic next fight? Or do you feel like maybe you're going to be looking elsewhere? I feel like you hold a lot of the cards now with what you accomplished. What do you think should be next for you?
Well, I'll say this. The show is over. The show is over, and I'm the ultimate fighter. That is a fact. You know what I'm saying? I would love to fight Trey. Trey was who I was supposed to fight. That's who I was prepared for. Me and Trey, even before the show, we almost fought each other a couple times, and it never really panned out. So, I'm here for it. I'm ready to fight Trey. And if we fight each other, that'd be cool. I don't know how long he'll be out with his injury, though. I'm trying to fight in December. So, if that fight happens, cool. Just because, because like I said, the show's over. I don't feel like I have anything left to prove. But what I do know is just on a personal level, I know that Trey thinks he can beat me, and I think I can beat Trey. So I'd like to settle that out just for personal reasons.
When that whole scenario played out, I'm going to admit, I was wrong. At first, I thought, man, they should just kind of postpone this and just make it happen. But then I started thinking, it's no different. Somebody getting hurt on the show and not being able to continue, nobody would say anything. And this scenario isn't that different from that. So I guess my question to you was, how did all that play out? Was there ever a moment where you thought maybe they might actually postpone it? Or from the get-go did they say, we're finding a replacement, it's still going down?
I will tell you exactly how it went down. It was wild because right before Trey's episode came on for TUF, I got a call from my agent, and he was like, "Hey, Trey's out, Gilbert's in." Like that was the conversation. Trey is out, Gilbert's in, and I was like, "All right, cool." Like there wasn't the and then the episode aired and everyone got excited, and then the next day they announced that Trey was out, and it's just like and I think part of it too is there's a reason why this is called like the toughest tournament in sports. is more than just the fighting. It's everything outside of the fighting. You got to be able to get to the cage too. So, you could be the best fighter in the world, but if you can't get to the cage, then what's the point? So, like as you just said, as if we were in the house and you get injured, you're out of the competition. It's the same thing here. You know what I'm saying? We were still fighting for the first place spot in the tournament, and he got injured. So, he didn't have what it took to be the Ultimate Fighter. So, not necessarily from a skill point of view, but from the ability to just keep himself healthy. I understand it's like unfortunate circumstances. It can happen to everybody, but that's just the name of the game. So it was a weird situation, but we're fighters, so it'd be kind of like ignorant to not be aware of the possibility of someone you're fighting getting hurt and being prepared to fight someone else on short notice. You know what I mean?
In the history of our show, we've spoken to a lot of champions, and everybody kind of has a different view on this. So I'm curious to hear what you have to say. When we would first interview, let's just take the first winner, Diego Sanchez. When he would come on the show, we would introduce him as the Ultimate Fighter, and I think he liked that in the beginning. But then, a couple fights into his UFC contract, I think he kind of wanted to shed that a little bit and just be kind of like Diego Sanchez, the UFC fighter. That label of the Ultimate Fighter, when we speak in, say, 2 years or so, is that something that you would always want attached to your name and brought up, or is it something that you would want to shed after a while and just be Bryan Battle, the UFC fighter?
Oh no, man! I want that next to my name for the rest of my life, but it's a dangerous thing because I think it's one of those things where it's such a cool accomplishment. You could kind of like I compare it a lot to like the Heisman Trophy. You know what I'm saying? It's like we were all prospects. This was before we actually got into the UFC, and winning the TUF is kind of like winning the Heisman Trophy, which is really cool. But if that's the only thing you ever do, it's kind of disappointing because the idea is to like succeed at the highest level. So I will never want the title of the Ultimate Fighter to go away, but I also don't want it to stop right here. I want there to be other accolades put with that, the Ultimate Fighter. I want them to say, Ultimate Fighter season 29 winner, champion, you know what I'm saying? Whatever else, whatever other accolades I can get, I want to stack up the accolades. So I never want them to go away, but I want more.
Did you get a chance to speak to Volkanovski at all? Did he send you a message? Did you guys have a chat?
I haven't gotten to talk to him since I've gotten back because things have just been especially after the fight, things were pretty crazy. I live across the country, so I'm just kind of getting settled back in, getting comfortable with things. But Volk has gone out of his way to, at least speaking for myself, he's reached out to me, giving me encouragement. If I ever need advice for something, he's always there to give advice. Like Volk, he didn't big time me at all after the show. It's like if I needed to talk to him about something, he would always make time. Like Volk is a really cool dude. And that's really anybody off that staff, everyone off that staff. If, I had a question about something or, I needed to holler at them about anything, they would always make time. Everyone on that staff was awesome.
I got to tell you, Bryan, I'm glad you're giving, shout outs to everyone that worked behind the scenes, your coaches, everybody. I went into this season as a naysayer because I thought it had run its course. I'm all about Dana White Contender Series. That's my jam. I'll be watching it tonight. And I just thought, the concept of making you guys lose weight 3 times, sometimes 4, sometimes I have to fight to get in the house. It's like so many things. I'm like, hey, you know what? We kind of did that. We're all growing here. And the Dana White Contender Series is, that's kind of enough drama for me. You got to win, then you got to sit on that little cute kitchen table until they decide if you're in or not for real.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, that's cool. Every Tuesday, let's knock it out of the park. One in the winter, one in the summer, 10-week runs. But they came back, and, man, you guys spilled blood. You guys missed your families. I want to recognize all that. I know it's not easy. It'll lead to my next question, but I want to tell you that we saw all that. We saw that the sacrifice that you guys made, those weight cuts, they're not easy. The editing makes it look like you stand on the scale. Yeah. But I'm sure it wasn't easy. Maybe some of you guys crawled out of saunas. Who knows? But what I did want to ask you was tying into a few of the guys that have come out of the shows. I remember one specifically, Bristol Murundi. He came out of one of the seasons, and he goes, I was shook. Like, he really felt like almost he was an incarcerated person who was coming out and trying to figure out how to, be in the world again. So did you have any of those types of struggles? What was it like? What was your first meal when you got out? What was it like just maybe turning on your phone and like, take us through that?
That is a very accurate description of what it's like to get out of the house, because, a lot of people, I had a great time in the house. Like, I mean, obviously we had struggles, obviously, we miss people, all that stuff that you just said. But, with that being said, also, the TUF crew is taking care of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we need food, they're getting us food. If we need a certain kind of gear, they're getting the gear for us. So you're almost like living in an alternate reality. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of we were kind of like we were in prison, but it was kind of like when Pablo Escobar was in prison and he had everyone paid off. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were living the life. We just couldn't go anywhere, when we got out, it was weird having responsibility again. That was the weirdest thing. I was like, oh, wait, so I got to like do everything by myself again? Like, it's not like, I was like, freedom, cool. But I was like, oh, wait, with freedom comes responsibility. And I was like, okay, all right. So, so it was like afterwards, like, oh, I didn't check in my bank account after I got off the show. It was so sad, man. I was like, oh, I need to go to an ATM immediately. But no, it definitely took a day or two just to get reacclimated back to freedom and the responsibility that comes with freedom. But yeah, no, that is a pretty good description. It was kind of like, I mean, obviously it's way more, it was 5 weeks, so it wasn't anything crazy, but yeah, it was like getting out of prison, sort of.
I love the Escobar comparison. By any chance, are you a fan of Narcos?
That is actually the next show I'm trying to watch. I've watched bits and pieces. I haven't watched the whole thing, but I watched like the first time I got hip to Pablo Escobar was off of Entourage when they did the little biopic on him. So I watched a couple biopics on Pablo Escobar, and I was like, man, that guy was living it up in prison, man. That guy was.
I keep an unofficial top 10 favorite fighters because we're kind of journalists, I guess.
Yeah.
And we're not supposed to, but Goes and I don't give a fuck. We do it anyway. And I was going to put you in my top 10 if you said I have watched Narcos, because the Heisman Trophy reference, and then you corrected me on the Bobcats Hornets, which tells me this cat likes other sports just like me. Yeah. But then you told me you haven't seen Narcos yet, so I'm going to put you at number 11. But I think you're going to work your way up, man. You've made a big fan out of me. And like I said, I think the best is yet to come, Brian, with a Y.
Oh, man. Dude, it's only every time I get in the cage, you guys will see better versions of me. Like, it really is. Even I feel from the Petrosky fight to this fight, it was like a completely different version of me. And then it'll just be like that. Like, I would like to fight again, like I said, in December. And I feel like by December, it's just going to be, at least one thing that I'm going to be doing better every time I get in the cage. So, I'm going to finish watching Narcos. And eventually, that'll get me on your top 10. And then me stacking up wins will get me further and further up your top 10. So it'll be cool. It'll be really cool.
Yeah, up there, man. You got your Dan Hendersons, your Daniel Cormiers. So, it'll
That's great. I got a lot of work to do. But I'm excited about it. It's work.
I won't let this stand. He's going to get into the top 10 right now. And I'm going to show you how, George. You might not know this about it. So George has a godson that's playing high school football, but he's being recruited by some colleges, Logan Gonzalez. So did you know Bryan played high school football? You played football for a long time, right? You were really, really into it. What advice would you have for George's godson, Logan Gonzalez, as he's being courted by all these universities? Because you're an athlete at a high level, man. How does he handle all that?
What position does he play?
Quarterback.
Oh, man. So he plays like the big time position in football. Holy cow. So yeah, I was a lineman. So I was ready to like give some like beautiful tips and stuff like that. All right, quarterback. Yeah, as he's getting quartered by schools, I think like the most important part about that is, what he wants out of his experience when he's at school, for me personally, I was always like a lineage person. So when I was playing, my goal was always to play at the University of Maryland. I could have been the best recruit in the world, but I wanted to play at the University of Maryland just because that's where I was from and that's where my dad went. But I think it's people get caught up with like going to the most winning program they can possibly go to. But I was more of a person where once again, I had my childhood dream, but also like I want to play. I want an opportunity to like get on the field and at least prove that I should be on the field. So I don't know where he stands, but I don't know if I would necessarily want to jump into a position where I'm having to compete against a guy that they've basically already picked, and then I have to transfer out like the next year. So yeah, I would say avoiding all that, just like taking everything into consideration, and picking the school that he just likes the most, period.
That's good stuff, man. I appreciate it. That's isn't that where Boomer Esiason went? Frank Reich, I think.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
all
sir.
Right.
University of Maryland. My dad said they used to be quarterback U back in the day. Not so much for my lifetime, but my lifetime, I haven't seen any quarterbacks come out of Maryland, but
Top 10, George?
Huh?
Top 10? Did he creep? Did somebody get knocked off?
Nah, he just bumped someone off the top 10 right now.
We're in there. That's what I'm talking about.
Let me think. We may have bumped off. Maybe Poirier. Poirier's been pissing me off lately. So you just bumped off Poirier. You're 10. Poirier's 11. There we go. No, I'm gonna send that to Logan, man. He's gonna love it. He's 6'3", 200. He can throw a high school football 73 yards. That caught a lot of people's attention in the air. Yeah. He studies the playbook. He works hard. He's not a punk. So like he's gonna get his 8 hours rest, and he's gonna represent the team as best as possible. He's gonna know if the offensive tackle is out of placement, because like I say, he absorbs the playbook. He's into it. He lives for those 3 hours. You know what I mean? So I know that he's gonna succeed. But that's perfect advice: is go where you're gonna play, and you're not gonna just hold a clipboard. Unless there's an outgoing senior, I'm sure you can maybe learn for 1 year. But yeah, for sure, go where you're gonna play, and I'm gonna pass that. I'll probably send them the link to this. So I appreciate you saying that.
I mean, on paper, he sounds like a stud. 6'3", 200 at quarterback and throw 70 yards. I mean, I'm gonna start recruiting him. Shoot, we'll start recruiting that man.
And he worked hard, Brian. Let me tell you something. He didn't have much wheels as a young kid, but he started working with a track specialist or something, and doing them squats, and then all of a sudden he started doing these 7-on-7 tournaments, and they kind of have like a little mini camp, I guess, mini combine, and then all of a sudden he lined up to do the 40, and I noticed he increased his speed, so that's good, because traditional drop back, I mean, always in play, but if you can run too, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, it's like, and you don't have to be Lamar Jackson, you just gotta be mobile, you know what I mean? Right. And that's what it's like. What's cool about what you just said, I appreciate, is like I've been trying to read through this book called Mastery. It's a pretty hard read, but I've been trying to read it. And, he just goes through all these people who weren't like phenoms, you know what I mean? But then ended up being described as phenoms just because they like were passionate about what they did and just like were so detail oriented that they got so good at it. People were like, they must be phenoms. And they were never phenoms. They just worked to the point where people thought they were phenoms,
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll let you know where he winds up. Maybe who knows? Maybe it will be at Maryland. And he's got a 13. Even Yale started to follow him on social media. So that's kind of on the other side of the country. I don't really want to do a 5-hour flight every Saturday. But
facts.
Still,
I mean, that's a nice school though. Yale that's pretty baller. I mean, not necessarily like like straight up football wise, but I mean like just life in general. Like if you go to Yale, like you're doing pretty good in life. At least I feel like,
Yeah, for sure. Anyway, listen, man, we probably took up a lot of your time talking about all kinds of different subjects, but at least we got to know you better. And like I said, you and the boys knocked it out of the park, man. I'm back on top.
Uh-oh. You got too excited. But I will I'll finish off what he was gonna say. We had a great time, man, watching you guys this season. It was really fun. You guys knocked it out of the park. We did our spinning back click segment this week where we brought that up and we kind of evaluated everything. And I mentioned, for me, every TUF season was kind of about the coaches and the heat they brought in, but the cast took over this season. You guys really performed, man, and we really appreciate it. Your time here. Thanks again, Bryan, man. It's good talking to you.
Hey, I appreciate it. Y'all have a good one, all right?
You too, man.
I look forward to the next convo. I can't wait till we have this conversation again.
We'll have it, man, in person next time.
Yes, sir. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.